it sounds like, and what I'm seeing, it sounds like pretty much this whole subject of diversity, it really just hovers at the surface, and that there's not
Mm,
necessary because we're not willing to go a little bit deeper than what we're getting wrong, and um, maybe what's missing. How can we bring a little bit more depth to that conversation when it comes to diversity in our meetings and events?
definitely. I mean, just going back to that particular discussion within the events industry, we did have some real breakthroughs.
Mhm.
And, the biggest was that, look, you can't tackle the whole thing in one event. Like, you can't be totally 100% accessible, totally 100%, a representation across every single race, culture, faith, you know, gender. Like,
Yep, you
it's
can't.
just not possible. So, like with everything, break it down, chunk it down, focus on some key objectives. And we looked at what these could be, and actually we felt some of the most positive ones are representation,
Mhm.
accessibility, and starting with what you know and what you feel most connected to. So, we talk about unconscious bias and things like that. Look, we're human beings, and we will naturally gravitate to causes that we're most familiar with and will most, and kind of most affect us. So I'm a Black woman. Naturally, I have kind of more of an affinity with, issues on race and so on and so forth, as much as I look through the lens of being totally inclusive. Like, that's just natural. So, you could be a vegan, or you could be a Muslim, or you could be disabled. So maybe start your event with that focus. Okay, well, how can I make sure that I have really great vegan options at my event? How can I make sure that there's areas available for prayer, or that there's, that there are kosher food options, and that there's no pork served, and things like that. How can I do my best to engage people from different communities? How can I look to make this event more accessible? Is there a really accessible train station near the venue, so that, and it's those things. So if you kind of start with something like that,
Mhm.
you've got something to build on. You're not going to get it right, but you're like, okay, these are the things we did really well at this event this year. How can we make it better next year? Because you've banked the things that you've done well. So you just build on it, and you be really open and say, I don't know everything yet. Lean on suppliers that do. And that's the point. There are companies that specialize in how to communicate inclusively, how to market inclusively, how to focus on accessibility within your events, cultural catering, everything. Like, there are suppliers out there for everything. Don't try and do it all. Lean on the people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's really pushing yourself, starting with kind of your uniqueness, but then also really pushing out, and learning a little bit more about different audiences and about your audience specifically, and how to cater to your audience, and making sure that they have all of the options that they need, and that they're represented, and that they're seeing the accessibility all the way through your event too. Sometimes we really gravitate towards just what is familiar to us.
Mm,
And it's really important to just continue to challenge yourself and
absolutely.
go outside of the box. And maybe you just do it for one or two things on one event. And maybe the next year when you do that same event, maybe you can expand that a little bit more. But definitely, I would say also continue to challenge yourself.